Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome to my midweek market meeting, 30th June 2021. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques. You may contact me using my email ID tradingprofitably@gmail.com. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website sagarnandi.com, YouTube channel Trading Profitably, and Twitter handle Sagar Nandi. You are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. These are the different queue systems I use for my trading. They run on underlying TradeStation and Metastock platforms. That was the last slide of the presentation. Let's continue with the live system. First, we have a look at the global markets, starting with Australian index AXJO. In the weekend market roundup, we saw the backdrop color was bearish. The backdrop color is continuing bearish this week as well. Plus, there is an indecision at the top signal. In the daily, after displaying indecision at the top, bearish headwind, bear release, price could not go up. There is a trend line support. Yesterday price tried to go below that but closed with a lower tail. Today price went up, tried to go up but closed with an upper tail. Lower tail immediately followed by upper tail is showing indecision. If price can break below the trendline support tomorrow, that will be bearish and that may give a breakout setup or other shorting opportunities in individual stocks. Japanese market topics index. Topics backdrop color has also turned bearish. It is inside the range in the daily. It's right in the middle of the range. Will not try to take any swing trade at this point. Next is Chinese market index CSI 300. Interestingly, the weekly memory support line that I first identified on this bar, that weekly support is still holding. Few days ago, price came to the daily trendline support, displayed indecision at the bottom and then bull release signal, and price gradually went up. The optimal point to buy stocks would be at this point, and as the index went up, individual stocks would have covered more than risk distance by now. UK's FTSE index. Here also the backdrop color is bearish. Daily is inside a very narrow triangle pattern. Weekly is also inside a range. We'll avoid taking any swing trade in FTSE right now. Lastly, India's Nifty 50. Here also the weekly backdrop has turned bearish. There is a bear release signal as well. In the daily, price is inside a triangle pattern. Today's flow color is bearish. If tomorrow price can continue to go below the trend line support, that will prove bearish and you may look for a short trend. It has also displayed a reversal candle in the daily that is also bearish. That is our study of the global markets. None of the global markets are in a downtrend. However, they are looking weaker than what we saw in the previous webinar that was during the weekend. They are looking weaker. Why? Because backdrop color has turned bearish for many of them and the daily is moving sideways for many of them now. Also, we see in India market there is a reversal candle as well. They are still in an uptrend or in sideways moves, but they are looking weaker than the weekend. Let's look at the USA markets now. For that, I will move to TradeStation. Let's start with S&P 500 ETF SPY. It made a new all-time high yesterday and it also displayed an indecision at the top signal. It is too close to the upper boundary, so I'm not going to look for buy setup now. The optimal buy setup would be at the swing low point that was several days ago. Bullish but too far from the swing low. QQQ is the strongest of the USA ETFs, market ETFs. Also made a new all-time high yesterday above upper boundary. Bullish but overbought, also shown by the stretch band indicator. Not going to buy right now. It has multiple trend line supports. It will not be easy for QQQ to break below all the trend line supports in one go. DIA, what did I share in the previous webinar about DIA and IWM? DIA had recovered a lot from the swing low. That was the time when I closed most of my short positions. I shared that in the public webinar at that time. And when price came here in the weekend webinar, I mentioned that I may look for a shorting opportunity if DIA reverses from the trendline resistance once more. My previous shorting was using the same trendline resistance at a previous point. DIA indeed could not go above the trendline resistance. It is therefore weaker, much weaker in fact, compared to SPY and QQQ. That is also shown by the relative performance steadily coming down. And in this ETF, the backdrop has also changed to bearish. IWM. About IWM, I mentioned right on this day in the weekend roundup that it was near the watermark resistance and it displayed indecision at the top. In the weekly also it was near memory trendline resistance, though the weekly had a reversal from prior week's bearish shape candle. Looking at the weekly trendline resistance, daily watermark resistance and the indecision at the top, I mentioned that I would look for a short setup in IWM as well if it started to go down this week, and that happened. Both IWM and DIA stopped at their respective resistance lines, and like you could anticipate such a move. And though SPY QQQ made new all-time highs, if you took the short trades using fine-tune or precision entry intraday 5-minute charts, you would make profit in both IWM and DIA in the short direction. Are they in a downtrend? No, they are certainly not in a downtrend. There was no swing short opportunity in IWM DIA, not using daily interval, but you could take short trades using intraday fine-tune chart. The USA market ETFs are showing a mixed picture. DIA and IWM are weaker compared to what we saw in the weekend roundup. SPY, IWM are stronger, but that is due to not overall market participation, but due to the mega caps going up. How do we know that? We know that from the other Q analysis, market level analysis that we'll carry out momentarily. Let's look at the market internals using the Nasdaq and NYSE composites first. The candle charts are for QQQ and SPY. They made new all-time highs, went up since our last webinar. However, on Monday and Tuesday, on both of those days, the yellow line came down for both Nasdaq and NYSE, showing that the percentage of stocks above 50 MA came down for both of them. That is showing that Monday, Tuesday, the broad market was not going up, it was coming down. Both the yellow lines are near 50-55% range. The white and orange color lines are still up flat. They are the above 200 MA percentage and percentage where stocks 50 MA is above 200 MA. They are slower and they are remaining flat. For NYSE, it is remaining around 75%. For Nasdaq, around 60%. That shows relatively Nasdaq is still weaker than NYSE, though it has recovered significantly since this low. Still, it is overall weaker than NYSE. Another market level indicator, the 3-month new high low, that also came down on both Monday and Tuesday for both Nasdaq and NYSE. That also shows that there was no broad market participation when the market made new all-time highs for SPY, QQQ both on Monday and Tuesday. And if we look at the weekly interval, advanced decline up-down volume is showing clear bearish divergence for both Nasdaq and NYSE. New high low is remaining positive, and that is remaining positive for a very long time. In recent months, if we are able to see divergence that is actionable, that is from the advanced decline and up-down volume, and that is showing bearish divergence. Very useful information to be cautious. This composite market internals clearly shows that Monday, Tuesday, the broad market did not participate in the rally. If we look at the mega cap top 20, then we see it is still going up. There are many trendline supports. It will take considerable effort for price to break below all of them. Mega caps are continuing to remain strong, though the broad market is not so strong. Several broad market internal indicators declined Monday and Tuesday. Mega cap top 20 did not. Now if we look at the single chart view, market breadth total view, here also the yellow line percentage of stocks above 50 MA came down both on Monday and Tuesday. 3-month new high low came down both on Monday and Tuesday. Those are showing weaknesses. However, there is no distribution count at the right edge. There is no Phoenix, there is no Hindenburg, there is no bingo. There is no indication that market will drop sharply and suddenly, though the broad market is not as strong as is shown by QQQ and SPY. That means we may be cautious, but we may continue to take long trades. Is there weakness from technical breadth? Let's look at that. Yes. The Finder weekly picture balance between bearish and bullish technical signals across thousands of stocks. All signals 75% bearish. Strength signals more bullish, that is because of larger number of gap ups. Trend continuation 80% bearish, reversal 86% bearish. And large number of gap ups associated with large number of bearish reversal. Overall, that is bearish. The technical breadth weekly interval is bearish from that angle. The all signals are also bearish, and now we see an not insignificant number of bearish headwinds in the weekly interval. That is always an alert. So we have multiple alerts or bearish signals from the weekly technical breadth. The week is not over yet, and daily technical breadth is also bearish across all the categories. Whether all signals, strength signals, trend continuation or reversal signals, all categories are bearish in the daily interval. So yesterday was not so strong, though SPY QQQ made new all-time high. Is there any other weakness? Yes, weakness is there in QH, sector, industry, stock, advanced decline breadth as well. First, let's look at the bucket analysis. The percentage of stocks above the midline of the bucket analysis came down yesterday from 39% to 36%. So only 36% of all S&P 500 stocks are above midline of the Bollinger Band. Overall, that is more bearish than bullish, and that is also shown by the histograms being predominantly in red color to the left side of the bucket analysis. Interestingly, yesterday the percentage of stocks in the most extreme high bucket went up from 2.3 to 5.3%. 2.3 to 5.3. Not a huge jump up, but it did go up. And at the same time, the percentage of stocks in the lowest extreme bucket also went up from 1.1 to 4.5. So 3.4%. Both the extreme low and extreme high buckets increased in percentage. When that happens at the market top, that is an alert signal. And if you remember the calculation of Hindenburg, Hindenburg has this aspect in its calculation, that market is at the top and there are new highs being made, whereas new lows are also being made, and in this case new lows are being made at a faster rate than new highs. Hindenburg also uses calculation similar to that. It has other criteria. There is no Hindenburg today or yesterday, but we see some kind of weakness when we read the bucket analysis in this manner. That percentage of stocks in the lowest bucket, extreme bucket, as well as the uppermost extreme bucket both went up, and the lowest extreme bucket percentage went up by a bigger percentage. That is also an alert signal. As you can see, we can read the market from many angles, and one more angle that we always use is the 1 month to 1 day sector industry stock advance decline breadth. This I am mentioning several times in many webinars, that the 1 day and 2 day periods are flip-flopping between red and green. And again that happened, they flip-flop to red now. And once again we see, though Monday and Tuesday SPY QQQ made new all-time highs, the sector industry stock advance decline turned more and more bearish on both those days. And now if you look further away, take a step back, 5-day period is also more bearish than it was in the weekend roundup. So is true for 10-day and 1 month period. Once again, though 1 and 2 day periods are flip-flopping between red and green, the red colors seem to be propagating across sectors, industries, stocks from left to right. That is showing under the hood the market is not as strong as is shown by SPY QQQ. As if more selling is taking place, while some entities, somebody, some traders are keeping the market up for whatever reason by using mega cap or large cap stocks. They are able to keep the SPY QQQ at a higher level, but we see clear indication of broad market weakness from many angles. Which angles? Let's go through them once again. Firstly, DIA and IWM didn't make new all-time highs. Far from that, they in fact came down on Monday, Tuesday both after the open. They are not so heavily influenced by the mega caps. They came down. From market internals, we see 3-month new high low came down both on Monday and Tuesday. Percentage of stocks above 50 MA came down both on Monday, Tuesday, and that happened for NYSE Composite, Nasdaq Composite, as well as market breadth total view. Technical breadth is looking bearish both using the weekly as well as daily interval. Bucket analysis is showing more bearishness than bullishness, and sector industry stock advance decline is also bearish on Monday and Tuesday. Ample bearishness to be cautious about buying stocks. At the same time, we may be able to buy stocks that were in industries that were lagging earlier. That is, using industry rotation, we are able to find strong fundamental stocks and buy them at low price. And yes, I did share several of them in recent days, and let's have a look at how they are doing now. We'll look at some long trades, but let me also look at one short trade that I took earlier and I shared it at that time, and let's see how that is doing now. I first shared CCJ right on this day. I mentioned in that webinar that I shorted CCJ. Very next day it dropped by more than 10%, and in subsequent webinars I mentioned I exited partial profit. I had a position using put options that had more than 100% profit, and I exited partial position to get my money back. And I also mentioned that this was one stock that I was holding partial bearish position, though for many other bearish positions I closed fully. Then it went up, came down further, tried to go up again, and now it is back down again. As of today, the weekly and daily both are in bearish color. My shorting point was at this point, so I am continuing to have good profit in the put options. It's expiring in July, so I still have several days in hand. If these two trend lines are broken, then I'll have even bigger profit in the remaining position. This was one of the few short positions that I continued to hold from this point, and it seems to be working quite well for me. But I did not take risk with my original capital. I got that back. Original capital I got back right when I had the chance. I had 100% profit one day after my entry. We'll see. If I remember, I'll follow up on the stock and see how the remaining position is exited. Do I exit at a lower price or do I exit at a higher price? That was a short position I shared earlier. I'm holding partial position. Now let's look at QDEL. I shared QDEL in the weekend market roundup. That was on the close of this bar. And I mentioned that I took a long position. You can see it has done very well since then. It went up by more than 10% since Friday's close. So if you took a long trade at the time I took, then you already have 10% profit in the trade. If you look at the pattern now in the daily, it's looking like kind of cup and handle breakout. I am already in the trade and I am continuing to hold the long position. This was one of the strong fundamental healthcare stocks that I am accumulating. Is it fundamentally strong? Let's check that out using Vital. And if you remember, I tweeted about it. The latest version of QVital allows you to specify the root stock both using ticker symbol or Reuters symbol. So in this case, I am using the ticker symbol QDEL, not using the suffix .o, which would make it Reuters symbol. If I specify as a ticker symbol, first it retrieves the Reuters symbol, and once that is done, it retrieves the data about the scorecard, calculates the scorecard. And indeed, as you can see, it is undervalued with high earnings growth, high revenue growth as well, great earnings quality, short squeeze potential. Therefore, it is a 3-star fundamental candidate. And now you can also see the past 8 quarters earnings per share, past 8 quarters revenue, along with year on year revenue percentage increase for the 4 quarters and year on year earnings per share percentage growth for the last 4 quarters. This is a 3-star candidate and I have a long position. I mentioned it in the weekend roundup itself and it's doing quite well. Another healthcare stock that I mentioned I bought, and I mentioned I bought it when, let's look at the forum post. I shared it on my website sagarnandi.com. That was a month ago. Let's look at the analysis that I shared at that time before knowing the result. The healthcare services industry, FLGT's industry, was still magenta. However, the pace was showing that it was starting to accelerate, improve in score, and I decided to buy some stock in this industry using the industry acceleration. I found FLGT undervalued with very high earnings growth as well as revenue growth, earnings quality great, short squeeze potential. So it was yet another 3-star fundamental candidate. How was the chart at that time? The weekly was right at trendline support and daily was inside a squeeze, inside very narrow range. It had displayed multiple bullish headwind reversal signals at the very bottom, and then we had a bullish flow. In anticipation of a possible breakout, I took a long position at that time, 1 month ago. Let's look at FLGT now. My entry point was here, and since then price has nicely going up. See the relative performance, how sharply it is tilting up. The weekly is now bullish for 3 weeks in a row. Daily had a kahuna on Monday. Very importantly, daily had the biggest up move in 3 months on Monday. This biggest up move in 3 months after a stock comes down and starts to go up. These are not usually exhaustion points. They may just be the beginning of a bigger up move. That came on Monday, but I was long in the stock from this point onward. How much has it gone up? I think about 20% or so. On a closing basis, it is up by more than 24% since I first shared it in the forum. In both QTEL and FLGT, you can see that using my analysis, Q comprehensive analysis, 360 degrees analysis, where I look at sector, industry, fundamental, technical. I look at seasonality also when seasonality is strong. I could anticipate a move, and in both the cases, the stocks ended up moving in my expected direction. Let me share one more stock in healthcare, Vivo. It broke out of the watermark resistance yesterday. And if you look, you will see that it is also a cup and handle breakout. You may say that breakout also happened yesterday. Relative performance sharply tilting up, weekly going up after making a base, and the base was made by two long lower tail candles. We always keep an eye for those. It has a kahuna yesterday. Kahuna. Earlier it was inside a squeeze. Earlier it had a series of Mobo breakout, also a pocket pivot. I also have a position in Vivo. It's another healthcare stock, and as I am buying only fundamentally strong healthcare stocks, you'd expect this to be strong as well. Let's check that out. And in this case, you see I am going to use the Reuters symbol as rootstock. So you may use both the Reuters symbol as well as ticker symbol to do a fundamental and peer analysis. Instantly you can see great valuation, great earnings quality, short squeeze potential, high earnings growth, revenue growth, a 3-star buying candidate. Once again, these are three or three of the healthcare stocks I am holding. I may be holding other healthcare stocks as well. And as you can see again, I could start to buy healthcare stocks probably before most other traders, and I could do that based on the Q fundamental scorecard and based on acceleration of their industries using Q edge. Now we have some more time. Let's try to find some trade setup based on yesterday's close. To look for trade setups, first we have to decide, are we going to look for long setups or short setups? Market is still bullish, though under the hood it is not as strong as the QQQ and QQQ and SPY are. Under the hood the market is not so strong, but it is still bullish. Can we look for bullish trades? Let's do one of the workflows, carry out one of the workflows. Which one do you want to carry out? Top down, bottom up, or fundamental first? Let's do fundamental first. I'm going to the list of, let's use the mid-price stocks. Mid-price stocks, these are all liquid stocks. They tend to move significantly when they move. If they move, that is a good list to look for short-term trading candidates. Let's carry out a fundamental analysis to evaluate their scorecards. 1668 stocks in the list. Vital is retrieving data from Refinitiv and then it will calculate the scorecard. Scorecard is calculated. Let's look at the stocks. Try to find 3-star candidates first. 3-star fundamentally strong stocks, meaning stocks that are undervalued with earnings growth. And now we are able to look for only stocks with revenue growth as well. Let me apply that smart filter too. Now I have stocks with few mouse clicks that are undervalued with earnings growth and revenue growth. Do we want a short squeeze potential? Why not? Let's look for those stocks. I am left with these stocks. Some of them went up, some of them went down yesterday. I'm not interested to buy the stocks that went down yesterday. Let's look at the stocks that went up by almost 1 or more than 1%. Let's look up their technical signals from Finder. I see one breakout candidate, Boyce Cascade LLC. It has a gap up open, breakout from trendline resistance, bounce from trendline support. Therefore, it was inside a triangle pattern. It was inside trendline support and trendline resistance, bounced up from support, broke out from resistance. It also displayed a bull release signal at watermark support. So possible box sideways market or double bottom long setup as well. Went up by 2.4%. It is at price extreme middle, not at price extreme high. What about alternate signals? The HSI like signals, it has a big move, I think big move of 1 week or 1 month. We'll check that out. Only one of all the alternate signals. Let's look at this stock. Open it using Q Global. Broke out of trendline resistance, bounced up from trendline support with a bull release signal, gap up open, and if we look at the alternate signals, biggest up move in 5 days. The weekly also has very nice trendline support. It has indecision at the bottom, even has a bull release in the weekly. In price extreme middle or pendulum middle. I could look for a buy setup in this stock. Fundamentally it's very strong, except that it has an upper tail. So I will not try to buy it at yesterday's close. Today if the stock continues to go up, then I may look for a buying opportunity, even lower risk, using intraday precision entry fine tune chart. In the morning session I'll use 5-minute interval. But before that, before making that attempt to buy, we may look at its industry. Let's do that. Let's also carry out a complete fundamental analysis to see the scorecard more clearly. The systems, Edge, Vital, Index Finder, all are integrated, and this stock BCC, it was already 3-star. That's how I selected it from the mid-valued liquid stocks, mid-price liquid stocks, and we can see that once again from the Vital scorecard. Great valuation, also has great earnings quality. We also looked for short squeeze potential, very high earnings growth, very high revenue growth, 3-star buying candidate, EPS quarter to quarter going up, revenue steady slightly going up. In fact, revenue percentage year on year is steadily going up for the last 4 quarters. That's always a positive for a stock. Now let's look at its industry, trading companies and distributors using Edge. Using the graph, I can see instantly that the relative score is holding steady and going up. If we look at the industry rotation, it is still not one of the strongest, but the score is improving. It has some acceleration over 5 days. The industry allows us to buy. So we found a fundamentally pretty strong stock, 3-star candidate, that is giving a possible breakout setup at trendline support. And this pattern is very useful. I mentioned it many times. I use this setup often and I like it. What is this setup? This is a stock, fundamentally strong stock, finding support, breaking out of resistance. Finding support in weekly, daily, both breaking out of resistance. Why I like it is because the stop loss is very narrow. It is finding support from the bulls, breaking out, meaning the bears are giving up for the time being. So when bears give up and bulls continue to push up, it may often lead to a significant up move. And again, the stop loss is very narrow. I like those trades. That's why I like this kind of pattern where a stock finds support in weekly or daily or both and then breaks out of resistance, weekly, daily or both. BCC, that may give a buy setup today. Let's look at some other stocks. Boys, that we looked at, that had a breakout candidate. Let me remove that. There are multiple go with flow or trend following long setups. 4 of them. One is VIP Shop, VIPS. One is Vista Outdoor. One is Buckle and one is Container Store. They all have the bullish flow, go with flow possible setup, and that's the only signal they have. Let's look at their alternate signals. Vista Outdoor is inside a squeeze. Container Store and VIP Shop coming out of MOBO breakout. They all went up by significant percentage. And remember, all these are fundamentally very strong stocks. So let me close the charts and open them again. And maybe this time I will open them using TradeStation. Get the ticker symbols. Come to TradeStation. Let's look at them one by one. BKE. Bullish flow, but it is already high above the recent swing low. We had a bullish flow at this point also. That was the appropriate entry time using go with flow long setup. Now the bullish flow is there. It is at the swing high. That is not the buy point. Buy point is when we have a bullish flow at swing low. If you took that bullish flow at the bottom, already hit the profit target by now. Bullish, but I am not going to buy now. Container Store TCS has a bullish flow, but it is not a stock in an uptrend. Bullish flow is applicable only if the stock is in an uptrend. It is in a downtrend. I'm not going to try to buy this stock now. Vista Outdoor, VSTO, bullish flow, but the candle shape is not bullish and it is also not at swing low. It's not giving a proper go with flow setup. I'll ignore that. The last one, VIPS. I like this one. I like this one a lot more. It has trendline support in weekly, bullish headwind in weekly 1 week ago. That time the weekly shape was indecisive. See how much it dropped and how sharply it dropped from the peak. Where did it stop? Right at the trendline resistance, sorry, not support, right at the trendline support coming from far, far, far away. Stopped there with a bullish headwind even, and this week it is going up again from the same trendline support. In daily, there were multiple bullish headwinds. Price stopped going down here, displayed a bull release signal, bullish traffic light color after a long time. I wouldn't buy on the bullish traffic light. Then it tried to go down very little bit and went up again with bullish flow. Using weekly daily, you may consider taking it as a bounce long setup. There was heavy activity as well, pointing to possible exhaustion. If you took a long setup now, you could put stop just below the trendline support. In alternate signals, we have one MOBO breakout. We saw that from Finder already. So this may be a low risk buying opportunity. Let's look at VIP's fundamental score and also the industry. Fantastic, isn't it? The valuation score is as good as possible, though we don't need that, we just need cyan color, but it happens that it has the best possible valuation score, great earnings quality, a short squeeze potential, great earnings growth. Not only last quarter, 3 quarters, 3 years, revenue growth, not only last quarter, 3 quarters, 3 years. Revenue growth year on year steadily going up. For 4 quarters, earnings growth year on year steadily going up for 3 quarters. Great fundamentals. VIP shop. Let's look at its industry. Internet and direct marketing retail. The score came down little bit from 144 to 139. Still, it went up by a significant percentage yesterday, 1%. And when you see this left to right pattern in the industry performance, then you know that the industry is steadily going up. Relatively scored dipped little bit, but not much. We have total of 147 industries. It is still near the top end. And if we look at the industry rotation, it is very strong, bullish. So we found another stock that is having strong industry, great fundamentals, and for my and many other Q trader style, is giving a very low risk entry point. You may see if the stock goes up today, and if the market continues to go up, you may be able to buy this at a low risk point. Let's check its earnings date. Earnings date is 17th August. It's in fact VIP shop, you may know. It's a Chinese internet and direct market retail company. Their main business may be in China, not in the USA. So even if the USA market comes down, this stock may go up based on how the China market is doing. Would you like to check the internet and direct marketing retail industry strength in the China market. Let's do that before we end. When I look at a stock whose primary business is in another country, sometimes I check the industry in that country, not in USA where the stock may also be listed. So I changed the country code in QH to China, and it is going to validate and retrieve the data and present me the China market industry sector rotation detail. Let's give it a few seconds. It's taking a few seconds, that's fine. Meanwhile, let me look at seasonality of VIP shop when I have the time. Let's look at VIP's seasonality using Q season tool. We are at the end of June. Seasonality is neutral 44% of the times. How many times? 9 years. Not a lot of data, relatively new company. Out of 9 years, 44% of the times it was up in June. In July, it is little bit better, but still there is no trade based on seasonality. To use seasonality, we should have preferably 80% or more bullish or bearish seasonality, but in this case it is neutral, so we are not able to use seasonality as a deciding factor. See how the stock has done over the years. So far it is up 555%, and if you look at the years, out of total 10 years, 10 years may not be complete, that's why it is showing 9 years here, 10 years here, because 10 years may not be complete. You can see it's not complete. Still, out of those 10 years, 60% of the times it was up. When it was up, the average up percentage, annual up percentage was very high, 109%. When it was down, the years when it was down, average down percentage was about 25%. So you get a lot of insight from this seasonality. Usually we just look at the current month. If the current month is ending, we look at the next month to decide seasonality. But when you look at this seasonality scorecard, you get many other insight. For example, you also see that these metallic color cells show the years when it went up by bigger percentage than average when up, which was 109%. But this year it went up by 111%. That was 2019, and then right after its IPO 2012 2013 it went up by big percentages, 160 and 177 respectively. Now we may just say that the seasonality little bit improved, and when up, that percentage is significant for July, 22%. Sometimes it did go up by 27% or even 44% in the month of July. Now let's see, while I use that time, yes, the China scorecard is there now. If we have a quick glance at today's picture, 73% of all sectors went up in China. Industry level and stock level more balanced. 57% industries, 56% of stocks went up. Interestingly, here also today, this is not yesterday, today, that is Wednesday, China market is already closed. The percentage of stocks in the most extreme bucket went up, whereas percentage of stocks in the most extreme low bucket. Both high and low bucket went up. Just let me spend one more analyzing this. The sector industry stock advance decline, that is not giving a clear bullish or bearish picture for the China market. Today is slightly bullish, 2-day period more bearish, 5-day period slightly bearish, 10-day period more bullish, 1 month more bearish. So this is very flip-flopping picture, not giving any clear idea at all. Worse than what we saw in the USA market, no clear idea at all. In any case, the purpose was to check the internet and direct marketing retail industry in the China market. Let's check that out now for VipShop. Here the industry was very weak actually, but it improved in score. That's nice. And let's look at the rotation. The score improved. Not a very big improvement, but it did improve with some feeble acceleration, you may say. So that is at least improving from the worst possible industry 1 to 14. And how many industries in the China market? 113. So it is still at the lower end, but it improved. So that is a reason to buy. And no surprise that it was at the bottom, because this stock, though fundamentally strong, this also came down, found support. I expect the industry to be weak when fundamentally strong stock in the industry itself was down. Then I expect the industry to be weak. And if you remember, the same was true for QDEL, FLGT, Vivo. Their industries were also down. These were fundamentally strong stocks. They were down. The same pattern, same theme is playing out for VIPS and its industry in the China market. We are at the 1 hour point. Let's end today's session here. As you can see, using the very powerful yet visual and integrated, easy to use systems, you may look at the market, at sector, industry, fundamental, technicals in a comprehensive manner and identify probably the lowest risk opportunities at the best possible time. I think for VipShop today or even yesterday's close would be the best possible time anyone could think of buying since it started to come down. And you could buy the USS stocks like QDEL, FLGT, Vivo using the same approach. Let's end today's session here. Thanks for attending. I look forward to seeing you in my next session, which will be during the weekend. Thanks once again. Keep safe, and no reason not to do that, as these live sessions show. Trade profitably. Thank you.